Eamon Khan here for Seconds Out with Cruiserweight World Champion Chris Billam-Smith, and as mentioned in the previous interview, star of Stable 2. Good to see you smiling. Last time I think I saw you on Stable, you were crying. They had the video of you announcing that you're going to be a father. Lovely moments there, Chris, to share with the world.
Yeah, so fortunate to have that documented like that and be able to show, my son Frank and hopefully any future kids we're lucky to have, and always just look back on that, when I do retire one day and have that period of my life documented. Very, very, very lucky.
Very lucky indeed, but it was the hard work that got you here to get you that World Championship, and you're looking to defend that at Selhurst Park. Now, I was quite surprised when it was announced for Selhurst Park, because you're the guy that looks for the small wins, the small margins, the small numbers. I thought you might have wanted it at Bournemouth and really pushed for it. So what led it to be at Selhurst Park as opposed to Bournemouth?
I actually preferred it to be away, but they did still try and get it at Bournemouth, but they couldn't because of the pitch situation. June 15th is too late for AFC Bournemouth with all the work they'd have to do to their pitch through the summer. But I'm glad it's at Selhurst Park. The motivation for this fight is a domestic world title fight. It's a chance to avenge a loss, but it's also away, and that just adds even more motivation. And yeah, that just I think I'll thrive off that.
A little bit of a different side to you in the press conference. I feel that you were looking to get, again, those small wins against Richard and trying to pull him up on any small mistakes that he was making. Were you doing that? I was speaking to Shane about it, and he said, look, sometimes when you listen to Richard, you kind of get frustrated at how he speaks and some of the things he says. Can you describe your feeling towards Richard heading into the fight?
No, I think it's just... You say small mistakes. They were pretty big mistakes. He's contradicting himself minutes apart. Maybe he's feeling nervous. Maybe he's thinking, wow, I've got a world title fight at Selhurst Park. Like, this is huge. And he's feeling it and he's trying to say the right things and stuff. With me, I just be me. Do you know what I mean? And I had some fun today.
So how would you describe the feeling towards Richard then?
He's a mandatory challenger. He's another fighter. He's a British domestic fighter, and he gets me motivated to fight him. Obviously, got that one nick on my record that I get to put right, but no real feelings towards him in a sense. But don't try and say certain things and then contradict yourself.
Fair enough. Looking back to that first fight, look, how much do you feel the rematch will reflect the first fight, and how much do you feel that you both improved from that date?
Yeah, both improved. I think I'm just a completely different fighter. If you watch this fight with me and Richard, then watch the first one, you wouldn't think it's the same person. If you could blank out all the how he actually looked and you just saw him as computer game characters, then you'd think it's a different fighter. And I think I'll show that on the night.
One of the big factors coming into Richard's game is his power. And I asked this to Lawrence Okolie. I said, look, when you think about that fight, because you were able to handle Lawrence's power, not only from your chin, but also your IQ in defending the punches, do you feel that he has the edge there? Because Richard, if he's stronger, you've had the experience in the spars and on the fight night to contest with that and deal with that. So does that put that in your favour? Now, Lawrence gave his answer with it. It was undecided on the fight so far, but do you feel for yourself that because you felt that and you've been able to deal with it, that kind of leans the fight towards your favour even more so, because that power factor on his side isn't there as much as it would be in other fights?
Yeah, also people overestimate his power. They think he knocks everyone out cold. Everyone gets up and everyone gets stopped on their feet usually with Richard. And at a level which is lower than what me and Lawrence are at. So I think there's a massive misconception about his power. I don't think he's obviously a decent puncher, but he's not as big as everyone makes out to be. And no one talks about my power, which I quite like. But it's Lawrence has more power than me, and that fight went how it did. So I think this one will be similar.
Very welcome to take a sip of your drink as I ask you this question. Comparing the two fighters with their power, who did hit harder, Lawrence Okolie or Richard?
None of them really buzzed me. Never really. It's hard to comment. I think Richard has more, from watching, has more power and more variety of his shots. So like maybe his his left hook, his right uppercut, and stuff like that. Where Lawrence's is mainly the right hand or right hook. But yeah, it'd probably be similar power, but I think just more variety from Richard.
You made mention of that Masternak fight and potentially, from his perspective, a weak spot in the terms of your defence and the way you, I guess, take shots sometimes in fights. It's exciting for us to see, but an opportunity that he looked to seize on. Do you feel that your defence is maybe being overstated here in terms of it being weak for an opponent like him to seize upon?
Yeah, he's not Mateusz Masternak. He's not got the boxing ability of Mateusz Masternak. As I said before, that fight stylistically, Masternak's going to be a hard night for me, and that was exactly why, because of the way he throws his shots and stuff. Richard's not him, and also I took those shots and then walked Masternak down and bust him up in downstairs, and then it would if I didn't break his ribs, I would have broken his heart, because I'm just constantly walking him down. I'm constantly taking those shots. So anything he landed on me, I'd be straight on him straight away, and that's hard to deal with for everyone.
Half you're looking to try to get the win against Riakporhe and then look for Ramirez, as you mentioned there, Mikolayan maybe, and then go for completely undisputed with Opataya?
Yeah, I mean, I like to look ahead, but I don't like to look too far ahead. My career now is about just doing stuff that makes me happy, and fighting in America is something kind of like I have my own legacy in my head, you know what I mean, which I want to tick before I retire. And fighting in America is one of them, and now I've got an opportunity which has kind of come out of nowhere in the last few years with Zerdo winning the belt. So and then we can look at the other champions after that, but mandatory and then stateside.
A lot of people in the boxing industry, no disrespect to yourself, will put Jai Opataya as the number one cruiserweight in the division. Now, if I asked you, you'd back yourself as that as number one in the division. But either way, how close is the gap between you two, Opataya and yourself?
A lot closer than people think. He's a good fighter, but everyone would write me off, and they'd put me in the other Brit category, another Brit, to get stopped by him early. But I know that wouldn't be the case. But hopefully we get to see that fight one day.
Just a couple of quick thoughts to get from you. We're rearing towards Fury versus Usyk. For me, Tyson Fury looked very slim in that Morecambe press conference. Maybe a nod to, look, we know Sugar Hill's MO is to go for the front forward KO, but maybe a little bit of a nod to him boxing a bit more to get the victory. And do you think Usyk will push him to make him have to do that? Or do you think that Fury will be able to rely on the dance that got him there in the first place?
I think he's going to have to impose his size. I think that's important against someone who's come up from cruiserweight and Usyk, but he's going to want to be light because Usyk moves so much, and if he's too heavy, he can't just be flat-footed and walk in like he got. You might get away with a Dillian White or a Derek Chisora. You're in there with a different kettle of fish with Usyk, someone who is constantly moving, constantly on his toes, constantly giving you different looks, constantly moving his head, moving his feet, giving you different angles. So he's. I guess you've got to be lighter. So I think that's a good sign if you're in Camp Fury.
Ridgeweight in your future?
Never say never. There's too much excitement at cruiserweight at the moment to look at that, and obviously got a big fight lined up and goals beyond that. But yeah, never say never. But yeah, we'll see.
Okolie will have to wait for now.
Yeah.
Chris, pleasure. Thanks for being SecondsOut. All the best, man.